Not every comic book optioned becomes a movie.
And these are their stories.
Welcome back, Gainers, to another incredible, exciting, fantastic episode of ComicGains! If you're new to the show, I'm Adam.
I'm Zach, and this is Princess Rojas, looking very lovely, just like usual. Doing the princess wave, you do too. Bow, respect, and of course, there's the Cocoa Dog.
Oh, everybody made it out. I almost forgot our names for a sec. All right, guys, today is Monday, and we have a brand new top 5 for you. Actually, I don't know if this is a top 5. It's just a 5. A list of 5 incredible or insane comic books that never became a movie, that almost made it. They almost got there. They got optioned. They had directors. They had actors. Maybe not the money. Maybe a little bit of money, right? They're missing the money to get it made. Most of these is the money was not there to get them made. But there's a pretty exciting story behind all of these, and we figured we'd share them with you in case you've never heard of these before, or wish that these got made, or you're glad they never got made. If there's one thing you should be glad, though, it's that Zach's about to drink something.
Yes, because I need it right now. I'm feeling very ghost-like. Half the man I should be. This will make me whole. So, this is a blue raspberry ghost Sour Patch Kids. And it should be pretty good. It should be the goods.
I wonder who thought that was like a good name. Sour Patch Kids.
I don't know.
Like, what's a patch kid, and why is he sour?
Yeah. Are you working in the patch fields, and are they very sour about it?
Like a Cabbage Patch?
No, I'm like, maybe you're working in the fields, and you don't want to work in the fields, and you're very sour about it, and then they're like, oh, let's make a candy about that.
There you go. The answer was here. We got to the root of the problem. You know how you can get to the root of your comic book problems? By hanging out with us on Whatnot. On Saturday, this weekend, we got a triple feature, or maybe even a quadruple feature. The whole ComicGains crew plus friends are going to be on, but Adam and Zach will be on at 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time for our once-a-month extravaganza, and Princess will be following it up at 5 p.m., 6 p.m. 6 p.m. We gotta get the dates right. 6 p.m. So come hang out. Dollar starts, 30-second auctions. The most fun you'll have on Whatnot this entire year until we have another show. All right, guys. So what is this list that we put together today? We decided to pick 5 movies that were almost made that were based on comic books. And there's no particular order to this. These are just ones that we thought were exciting, that had good stories, that pulled on our heartstrings, all things that would make a good movie. So let's kick it off with our first movie that almost got made, Justice League Dark. Princess's favorite, Justice League. She's a big Justice League Dark fan. In 2013, they decided to make the movie, and they attached Guillermo del Toro to sign on as the director. He made movies like Hellboy, Blade 2, Pan's Labyrinth, Pacific Rim, and the Troll Hunter cartoon, which I'm a big fan of. He was going to have this movie centered around one main character, John Constantine, as well as supporting cast of Zatanna, Deadman, Etrigan the Demon, Princess knows about the Demon, and Swamp Thing, Madame Xanadu, and they would be fighting the villain, Floronic Man. You like Floronic Man, right?
I don't know who that is.
He's a plant-based villain. Plant-based villain that you can just get rid of with some plant killing.
Be gone. Weed be
I was
gone.
going to say raid, but I think that kills like bugs. Does not kill plants. Well, this all took place around the time they were shooting the Man of Steel Superman movie that was coming out, and kind of got put on the back burner, and Guillermo stayed on for quite a while, 3 years, while they were like creating the movie and deciding how they were going to do all this stuff, and he decided to leave after 3 years. So they signed on another director, Doug Liman signs on, and if you're wondering yourself like who Doug Liman is, well, he made movies like Swingers, Bourne Identity, and The Edge of Tomorrow, which
I love that.
Probably would have been like a cool movie. Well, he hung around for a little while till he got offered another job by Fox to make the Solo Gambit project. That totally could have been on the list too. So, he made a good decision to leave to do another movie that never got made. And after he left, they signed on J.J. Abrams, and I don't need to tell you what J.J. Abrams has done, but him and his company Bad Robot in 2020, they took over, and this is right around the time Rise of the Skywalkers finish up, so the third movie of the Star Wars sequel trilogy, not so good ending to the movie, if you want to say it that way. And he was connected with HBO, where he was going to create an HBO movie or slash show, brand new universe, all centered around Justice League Dark and all these characters. And I think they were going to call it like the Dark Universe at one point, and then they found out that crappy also movies, Universal Studio Monsters movies they were going to do, like The Mummy and all that. They named their crappy universe the Dark Universe, so they couldn't really use that as well. And nasty little virus popped up called COVID, and everything is basically finished from there. 2023 is when they finally canceled everything, and we know James Gunn took over, so the Justice League Dark will never happen.
Yeah, very indecisive. Just took them 10 years to decide, I guess we're not going to make this anymore. Forget it. That's a reasonable amount of time.
Right?
Unless it was James Cameron.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things like that. I think this would have been really cool. I know people are really excited about a lot of the HBO things that were going to happen, like the Green Lantern TV show and stuff like that, although now they're bringing that back with a different crew and a whole different story. But HBO's got some good stuff. I mean, they do things Justice. They do it right. So if they were going to do Justice League Dark, especially if they did like their own individual little shows and then combine them all together, kind of like the way Netflix did it. But HBO spends a lot of money on those shows. So I don't know. That would have been really expensive. Speaking of expensive or not expensive for the time, we got number 2 on the list. Godzilla meets Batman? What? So if you're thinking right now, we had like Godzilla -1 and we just had the Batman come out. Those would be like a cool crossover together. Well, think again, because this crossover was going to take place in 1966. And it was going to be a crossover between the Toho production company of Japan, so the OG Godzilla, black and white, with Adam West Batman of the 60s, and they were going to group together and bring the entire cast of it's called like the 66 Batman, right?
Yeah,
1966 Batman. His whole crew was going to come on to be in this crossover movie. And Batman's known for his crossover. He's done Ninja Turtles. He's done Scooby-Doo. I mean, who hasn't he teamed up with?
Yeah, he's teamed up with a few people.
So it kind of makes sense. But they had a lot of things in the work, and they had a whole script written out where there was going to be a new like German scientist villain who decided to like take over Godzilla, and he was going to have him go destroy Japan, which makes sense because that's what Godzilla usually does. And while they're doing that, Batman and Robin go over and they figure out a way to apprehend and beat the villain, as well as beat Godzilla in a very strange manner. So Batman figures out Godzilla's mating call, which would sound like, what's that? Exactly. Right? Wouldn't he have to see Godzilla like mate with something to figure out its mating call?
Yeah.
So he does that, confuses him, and then, which at the time I think he has like Batwoman, Batgirl in his hand. Godzilla does, so he drops Batgirl, and then Batman proceeds to crawl up Godzilla's back and attach a time bomb to his back, which blows him into orbit. Which I think Godzilla can survive in space, right?
Oh yeah, there's a Godzilla in space.
There should be.
Yeah, I think so.
Which is crazy when I was looking through this list of like all the canceled Godzilla movies. Dude, there's like 30 for every decade that somebody had Godzilla versus something that somebody wrote a movie for that never took place. And this was right on the heels of Godzilla versus King Kong, one of the first ones. So that this idea came out like right after that. Would this been something you would want to see, Zach?
No, I would not have watched it.
I know, the Adam West.
I'd watch Godzilla versus Barkley. There's already a comic.
There's a comic book like that, Charles Barkley.
I think that would be funny.
I feel like it'd be cool if like Godzilla's one just like ate all the Batman, everyone from that show like Hey. Then it would be like a horror movie, right?
Yeah, exactly. Do you know what you find between Godzilla's toes?
What?
Slow runners.
You got me. You got me.
I thought it was funny too.
That's probably true. Does he have anything? This is like feet just smashes, right? Does he have toes? He's got toes.
I think he's got. Yeah, he got toes.
Godzilla's got toes. Oh, Princess said. Princess is a big Godzilla fan. I've actually never been a Godzilla fan. I actually just don't care for the character at all.
I think it's
strangely enough.
I think it's kind of cool, but also a little confusing because either he's like destroying Japan or he's saving Japan. It's like, can't you just make up your mind?
Yeah, I mean, usually in the old ones too, the Americans are the evil people, as well they should be. All right, let's switch gears a little bit and talk about number 3. We have James Cameron's Spider-Man movie that was never made. I know. Everyone remembers the Sam Raimi Spider-Man. There was a huge success in 2001. Well, before that, in the mid-90s, a company called Car Loco Films bought the rights for Spider-Man for a measly $5 million. That's all it cost to get the rights for Spider-Man back in the mid-90s, which now they're trying to buy it for like $1 billion.
Yeah.
Or they bought it for $1 billion or something like that or whatever.
Yeah, I don't even know how much.
I think Sony still owns it, but somewhere around that line. So they buy the rights to the film. They get a director who they want to direct the film, James Cameron, and then they ask him to write a script for the entire movie. And I think the budget for the movie was going to be about $50 million for the whole movie. So they told him, like, hey, we can make a movie. I got $50 million to back it up, and then you write the script. So Cameron writes the entire script. And if you're wondering right now who's James Cameron, he did movies like True Lies, which came out right before this time was supposed to happen, Avatar, Terminator 2, Aliens 2, actually did Terminator 1 as well, and my favorite, The Abyss. Right, Zach?
Yeah. Didn't you also do Titanic, too?
Yes. I skipped that one. But you know James Cameron is, so you should.
Movie.
Cool thing about this, if you guys really want to deep dive into this script, it got released online. You can read the entire script from beginning to end, so you could know exactly how the movie was supposed to be. It's actually fairly similar to the Raimi movie in a lot of ways with like organic webbing and stuff. I found conflicting stuff on who was supposed to be Spider-Man. In one instance, I saw that Leo DiCaprio was cast to be the first Spider-Man in the movie, which makes sense. He's also Tobey Maguire's like best friend in real life, so that kind of makes sense. I also saw some things that Edward Furlong was also cast, who he played John Connor in Terminator 2, so that also kind of makes sense that he would have cast him. You're thinking like, not anymore.
No.
But the other crazy thing is one of the major villains for it was supposed to be Dr. Octopus, who was going to be played by Arnold Schwarzenegger. The other thing that a lot of people criticized about the script, if you do go read it, they did also include Sandman and Electro as 2 villains in the movie, but James Cameron gave them completely different names. Didn't go, not that Sandman and Electro was their name, but both of their real identities names were completely different. They didn't use like Marco or any of the names that they're normally called. So people thought that was weird. Like maybe he didn't read any of the comics to get any like framing for the characters. He's just like, oh, I like that guy that looks electric, and I like that guy that has sand on him. Like, let's use that guy, and here's their secret identity. You know, like he didn't do any legwork to find, which is kind of crazy. The other thing was, the final battle scene was going to be on top of the World Trade Center, so that's a pretty crazy. As well as Peter and MJ were going to have a love-making scene on top of the Brooklyn Bridge, which is surprisingly enough where Gwen fell off of. So,
we will come over here and have our fondest moments where I also had one of my worst moments.
Right? Yeah. So a little crazy. I mean, are you happy or glad that didn't get made?
I'm kind of happy it didn't get made because, James Cameron's not the best known for, like, keeping his budget small.
Yeah.
He usually, like, adds in all of this extra CGI or whatever. Look at Avatar and look how long it took him to make it.
Yeah, movies now are like, 500 million. Some of them, they shouldn't be 200 million, 500 million. The reason it ended up not getting made at the end of the day is the company that bought the rights, they just didn't have any money. They planned it all out and then got him to write the script and they were like, sorry.
Oh yeah, it's like you go to all you can eat sushi place and then you're like, oh, I didn't bring any money. And you're like, oh.
That's true.
Then you have to do the old awkward, escape.
The shuffle out the door.
But,
got any dishes for me to wash?
No.
You ever done that?
No.
You never washed a dish to pay for a meal?
No, I've never been that desperate. Hey, fun fact. Do you know what Spider-Man's favorite rice is?
What's that?
Uncle Ben's.
Uncle Ben's. Good old Uncle Ben.
Fun fact.
All right. Now, speaking of famous comic book movies that never were made, this is one probably you guys have heard of, but maybe you don't know all the details. Number 4, we have Tim Burton's Superman. Now, we know Tim Burton made a famous Batman movie, the 1989 Batman with Michael Keaton. Well, because of the success of that movie, they asked him to make a Superman movie. So like, man, you made Batman really cool. Can you make Superman cool? Well, in 1990, he was going to make a movie called Superman Lives.
Oh, Superman Lives.
Superman Lives. That was the working title of the movie. And he brought together a whole bunch of people to make this. So like he had a group of writers, and one of those writers happened to be Kevin Smith. Who is better known as Silent Bob. So he was a writer on the movie with a bunch of other people. He helped write the original screenplay for the movie, which was going to include villains such as Brainiac, Lex Luthor, and Doomsday. For some reason, everybody puts Doomsday in all their freaking movies. I don't know why. It's not that cool of a character overall, and this would have been really close to the time Superman died by Doomsday, so they were literally on the heels of doing that. Well, there's a lot of crazy stuff that went along with making this movie. More importantly, the big thing that everyone knows is Nicolas Cage was cast to be Superman, and there's actual test footage of him in the costume, all jacked, ripped, with his long hair. He looked pretty good, actually, except they did that. It was right around the time they were deciding whether or not he should have, like, the red underwear, like, on the outside. Do you like the underwear on the outside?
Not really.
You just like the straight blue?
Yeah, straight blue.
Princess, do you like the underwear on the outside? She likes the underwear on the outside, guys. So remember, if you see Princess, make sure your underwear is on the outside. Well, if you look at the footage, he has, like, kind of, like, a little, like, mankini underwear instead, where it's just the crotch is red instead of the sides. I don't know. This might have been cool, but we all know Nicolas Cage, huge comic book fan. It was like his lifelong dream to play Superman. So it's unfortunate that he didn't get to play a full role of it. Well, some of the other casting was a little bit crazy as well. They also cast Chris Rock to be Jimmy Olsen, as well as Sandra Bullock to be Lois Lane, and which works. I think that would have been good. And Christopher Walken to play Brainiac, which could have been good at that time. 1990, Christopher Walken.
I gotta destroy this world.
I need more cowbell.
More cowbell.
Yeah. But with the budget problems, the movie never took off, and they weren't able to afford to do the movie. And believe it or not, if you're really excited about this, it was such a huge deal that in 2015, they made a documentary about the movie called The Death of Superman Lives. And what happened, ? So you can actually see a full documentary about the failure of this movie to try and get made. And there's some cool interviews in it, specifically Kevin Smith talking about the producer, John Peters, who's the guy that's kind of like fronting the money for the movie. And he let Kevin know while he's writing the screenplay that in the third act, he wanted Superman to fight a giant spider that was somehow made by Lex Luthor or Brainiac or something. And he was like, dude, that's really crazy. Like, why would there be a giant spider in the movie? And when it didn't get made, he remembered that a few years later that John Peters also produced Wild Wild West, which in the third act, he fights a giant spider.
I want a giant spider.
Which is like... But that was when I watched it, I'm like, okay, this makes sense, like a giant spider. And then afterwards, looking back, like, why did he fight a giant spider in a Western movie?
Yeah.
I mean, it was a mechanical, steam-driven spider. But if you're feeling bad for old Nick Cage, look no further, though. In the recent Flashpoint Flash movie, he does get to finally don the cape in CGI, but he does get to show him flying and fighting a giant spider at the end of that movie. So it was kind of cool. Any thoughts on Superman Lives, Zach?
I'm kind of glad it wasn't made because I don't think it would have been good.
I feel like out of all the ones so far on the list, besides the Justice League Dark, I feel like Justice League Dark had a really good potential to be good without knowing as much about we know as these ones. I feel like the Tim Burton Superman could have been dope. Could have been really cool. I mean, Nick Cage has some movies that are questionable, but his good movies way outweigh his like questionable movies. And even his cruddy movies are still good. He's so crazy it's good.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Face off. I'm gonna take his face off.
He is crazy.
Right?
He is crazy.
Crazy awesome.
Crazy awesome.
Crazy awesome. All right. Last but certainly not least, I thought we'd touch on this one. Number 5, we got Terry Gilliam's Watchmen. So believe it or not, I really liked the movie when it came out. I actually didn't know that much about Watchmen. I know everyone's going to be like, what? ComicGains didn't know that much about Watchmen? I mean, Zach probably did, but I didn't know that much about it at the time.
I read it.
When it came out. And so I really enjoyed it. I didn't understand the changes that they made from the book. And then reading the book after, I kind of have a love for both. You know, I can understand like both of them. Well, before that happening, Terry Gilliam got tapped to do a Watchmen movie. And if you guys are wondering, Terry Gilliam, he is the director of such things as Monty Python. So it's kind of crazy if that would have been like the case, you know, like the director for Monty Python. But there was some other things that may have made it a little bit better. The producer for it was supposed to be Joel Silver, who produced The Matrix and The Predator. Mm-hmm. So that could have been like them together, maybe could have been a whole different kind of thing. And there's also some strange things about like his casting choices for the characters that he announced he would like to do. Plus, he was going to change the end of the movie as well. For some reason, nobody liked the squid thing with the squids coming down and like everyone having to deal with the squids, which that's I think what people like best about the comic book is the squids, you know?
Yeah, the squids were interesting.
Yeah, it was like a cool part of it. He wanted it where Dr. Manhattan went like back in time and like killed himself as like a younger version before he becomes Dr. Manhattan to like close the loop on it. But you know, the crazy thing with the people they wanted cast, some of just the ones that came up was they had thoughts of Robin Williams for Rorschach. And I also read that they had thoughts of David Bowie for Rorschach, which I don't know if David Bowie would have been able to pull off Rorschach. Robin Williams, I feel like could do anything. Yeah. It seems weird him being Rorschach, but he could probably do it. The other one, and this name has been on twice in the list, they wanted to be Dr. Manhattan, was Arnold Schwarzenegger, again, as Dr. Manhattan. They're like, and funny enough, when he played Mr. Freeze years later, he was also blue and pulled it off. Although in this one, he would have been naked with a lot of thing hanging out. Well, at the end of the day, the movie never got made for the same reason as almost all of these. Lack of funding came up. And Joel Silver made some comments about the Zack Snyder movie, saying that his would have been better. He would have made a better movie than Snyder's movie. And he actually did get to make an Alan Moore movie because he is the producer of V for Vendetta. So depending on which one you think was better than the other one, he is kind of one that thinks that Snyder was too much like a slave to the original script, that he kept it too exact without like deviating at all from the original story, which would have allowed like the people watching it to guess a little bit more like what was going to happen. So you're like, instead of being like, I know exactly what's going to happen scene by scene and exactly what they're going to say word for word. Because if you ever read the comic, it's like almost word for word, especially some of those original scenes. They say exactly what is said in the comic. So it's crazy. It's crazy, but never got made. And we did get that HBO TV show by Lindelof that came out, which was really good. I liked it. And it kind of sucked that they decided to cancel after one season because the showrunner didn't want to make it, not because the fans didn't like it. It's kind of strange that way. He's like, I'm done. One season and I'm out. Mic drop. What about this one, Zach?
Oh, I'm now that I know that V for Vendetta was also created by this guy, it might have been a good movie. It could have had, it had a lot of potential, I guess. I was thinking like, you can't beat Zack Snyder's Watchmen. You can't beat it. You can't. It's impossible. It was good. It was good. I even read the comic before doing that. I would say it's always best practice. If you haven't read the comic, watch the movie first if you get that opportunity. But I thought both of them are pretty decent.
Yeah.
I thought the comic and the movie was pretty good all at the same time. You know, it does make, you know, it does kind of like, I know exactly what's going to happen. So as long as you go in knowing that, you might be able to say, hey, my expectations are not super high. So you might enjoy the movie.
There you go.
Yeah, pretty nice list.
Yeah.
Pretty nice
fun.
list.
So, as always, guys, do us a huge favor right now. Stop what you're doing. Put the beer down. And hit the like button for the princess because she loves it so much. She got to do some things today, guys. I know we always try to have her show books, but unfortunately there's no movies to show for movies that weren't made, right?
Yeah.
She could like hold a VHS tape of the movie that made in its place. But also subscribe to the channel if you want to hear great lists like this going forward. And do us a favor, leave a comment down below. Let us know if you knew about these movies coming out. Were you excited about them? And I would love to hear if you guys know of any other cool movies that almost got made, because I'll definitely check them out and look them up if you guys put them down in the comments. And Zach, anything extra?
Yeah, you guys share. How you do this, you have to put all your energy in trying to make a Predator versus Looney Tunes movie. I think it'd be really great. Actually, it would be really bad. That would be stupid. It'd be like, oh my god. And put Michael Jordan in there. Michael B. Jordan.
Oh, now you got something.
Now it's even more confusing.
And have it take place in Riverdale with Archie.
Yeah. And have Archie being killed by the Predator. Because I've always wanted to see that.
No. As long as he doesn't kill Jughead.
Archie.
Jughead's the
Jughead.
best.
Yeah, I didn't say kill Jughead.
Zach's a Reggie fan.
Whatever.
He loves Reggie.
Are you Betty or Veronica fan? Comment down below.
No, don't do that. Till we see you next time, stay safe and remember.
Get those games. Every single one.